Okay, Tracy, I've commenced the live stream, so you're good to go. Begin.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Environmental Committee meeting. The date today is Tuesday, April 8th, and the time is 7 p.m. Tonight we have representatives from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation to discuss the interim remedial measures as part of the brownfield cleanup program. I would love to open up to the floor to the uh, DAC representatives, if you would like to introduce yourselves.
Sure, yeah. My name is Andre Obligato. I'm a section chief in Region 2 DEC office, and I'm joined by Jennifer Gonzalez, who is the project manager for this site. That's it from DEC. Perhaps the SCA could introduce themselves.
Sure. Hi, this is Mike Sherwood. I work for the SCA's environmental department, and I'm the project manager for this particular project. I'm joined by my supervisor, Bob Canaparthy, who's also on the line, and my consultant, Jenna Raup from TRC Engineers.
Hi, I'm not Yvette Knight. I'm Steve Gonzalez. I don't know what happened there, but Steve Gonzalez, School Construction Authority, External Affairs.
Thank you, Steve.
Yvette may be on later on, so just want to make note of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, and welcome everyone. Who will be doing the presentation this evening?
I'll be doing the presentation.
Okay, if you'd like to go ahead, Andre, that'd be great.
Sure.
Thank you.
He's gonna. Andre, can you share your screen?
Yeah, I'm trying to share right now.
Okay, all right,
All
perfect.
right, just making sure we shouldn't be working on it.
Okay. Can you all
Yep.
see my screen?
Looks
Yes.
good.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the former Jeffrey Auto Group site, which is in the Brownfield Cleanup Program. It's located at 8802 Fifth Avenue in Brooklyn, Kings County. And the purpose here is just to give you some background about the site.
Andre, I just wanted to make one note before you go on. For those who may also refer to this site as the old Santander Bank site as well.
Okay. Oh, and just can I ask you, how do you pronounce Jeffrey?
Jufrey.
Jufrey?
Yes.
Okay.
It's okay.
All right. So we're going to talk about remedial investigation results, discuss the proposed interim remedial measures work plan, which is the subject of the fact sheet and this presentation, and discuss next steps. The site comprises two vacant lots. Lots 28 and 30 contain one-story buildings. Lot 28 also contains a parking lot. The proposed redevelopment includes demolishing existing structures and constructing a 5-story public school on lot 28 and a play yard on lot 39. And here's the site. Lot 39, lot 28. School will be here, as I understand. The playground will be here. Fifth Avenue on the right. Here's a proposed layout, kind of rotated about 90 degrees. Again, the school, and then the playground.
And these are very preliminary. We're still very early in design on this project. We'll be designing this school for until the end of the year.
Thank you. Okay, zoom out and talk a little bit about the remedial investigation, what they found. Well, first, past history. Lot 28 was recently used as banks offices and historically used as commercial spaces. Lot 39 was recently used as construction storage, and historical uses include a garage and with a gasoline tank and auto repair service. The geology consists of fill material to 15 feet approximately. It's underlain by glacial deposits, which is a mixture of sand, gravel, silt, and clay. Bedrock was not encountered during the investigation. The groundwater is found about 75 feet below ground and flows to the north and northeast. Here's a map showing the groundwater flow directions. Generally to the northeast. Basically, what the remedial investigation found was that in the soil, there's a lot of here, but basically in the soil, they found volatile organic compounds, VOCs, including 1,2,4-trimethylbenzene and xylene. The maximum concentrations were found approximately 25 to 36 feet below grade. They also found semi-volatile organic compounds. We'll list them here. Between about 2 ppm and 5 ppm. Actually here, max detection 6 ppm. They also found metals, including mercury, 319 ppm at a depth of 4 feet. This is just a map showing the soil exceedances of the restricted residential cleanup criteria, which is the criteria we will use on this site. And he had one exceedance here for VOCs. Oops. And several locations where there were exceedance for SVOCs, semi-volatiles. So what they pretty much found was petroleum contamination, and they believe it's associated with former structures, including a former underground storage tank, which they believe is in this area. And there's also all water separator and drainage pipes throughout this building. With regard to groundwater, they did not find significant groundwater contamination. They only found 4 compounds in excess of our standards: 1,2-dichloroethane at 1 ppb, benzene at 1.4 ppb, chloroform 39 ppb, and xylene 9.7 ppb. These are all just slight exceedances of groundwater quality standards. They also found some metals, but like sodium, magnesium, and manganese, but we believe those are naturally occurring. And here it just shows the groundwater contamination. And contamination was found approximately here and here. The rest is naturally occurring metals. They also found some chlorinated VOCs and petroleum-related VOCs in the soil vapor beneath the site. Chlorinated VOCs included PCE, that's tetrachloroethene, and TCE, trichloroethene, as well as benzene, toluene, and xylene. Oops. Initially, during the phase 2, they found relatively high levels of chlorinated VOCs, but when they did the remedial investigation, we noticed that the VOCs decreased significantly, and we believe this was the result of cleaning of the floor drains, which I mentioned earlier, in 2020. So after they cleaned out those drains, it looks like the vapor concentrations in the subsurface went down. The DEC and DOH determined the site is not a significant threat. Oh, that reminds me. I believe we have Tony Peretta here from the DOH joining us. Sorry, I didn't introduce you earlier.
Not a problem.
My apologies.
No problem.
And this just shows the soil vapor data. Try to zoom in, there's a lot here. PCE 330 micrograms per cubic meter, PCE 520 micrograms per cubic meter. So now I'm going to talk about the interim remedial measures work plan, and basically, or IRM. And basically, an IRM is an expedited remediation to remove sources of contamination that we sometimes approve before a final remedy is implemented. And basically what this IRM proposes is, well, they're going to first demolish the existing structures, install a supportive excavation, and then excavate the drainage systems, the suspected underground storage tanks, the oil water separators, and these are all located beneath the former auto repair service station on lot 39. They also propose to remove petroleum impacted material to a depth of 10 feet below grade surface on lot 39 and collect endpoint samples. This is just a layout of the excavation area. This is the excavation area they proposed to 10 feet, and also excavation of the tank. And they will remove all these old storm drains and oil water separators. Additionally, they propose to apply a chemical oxidant to the base of the excavation to remediate any residual contamination that exists at 10 feet below grade surface, and backfilling with clean fill to construction depth. So the proposal is to apply chemical oxidants to further break down contamination that might remain in this area. So just to reiterate, this was a proposed work plan. The work plan is still under review by the DEC. It's still under a comment period, so we're still waiting to hear public comments. The public comment period ends on April 25th. I'm sorry. Once the comment period closes, we issue all our comments are addressed. We'll work with TRC to finalize a work plan, and we'll approve it, and they'll get started. And this is all prior to the volunteer preparing a remedial action work plan, which is the final remedy for the site. That work plan will also be subject to a 45-day public comment period. So that's about it. Any questions? Oh, one more thing. Just want to add that all the project documents are available online. There's no link here, but maybe Jen, would you mind copying and pasting the deck info link into the chat so they have
Sure.
it?
Will do.
Thank you. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre. Do we want to open up for questions from the board?
Yeah,
I
I'm
did-
just gonna stop the share, just so.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank
Um,
you.
I did have a question. The oil water separators, is that part of the storm drains, or is that separate? It is part of the storm
Yeah.
drain. It wasn't
Yes.
specific to that
Yes.
auto body.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, but the storm drain, the floor drains are connected to the oil water separator, which collects any oil or grease that would accumulate in those drains, separates
That's
it out.
correct. This is common in auto repair facilities. They often send their drainage through an oil water separator in case there's incidental spillage, that they have a way of separating stormwater or water from oil. This system does discharge to the sewer, but our hypothesis is that this system likely was not watertight over the years, and it probably had incidental dripping that caused the petroleum that we see under the site that needs to be remediated.
And the site that, or the lot is where the, with the most contamination is where the playground is going?
Yeah, it's lot 39, former auto repair.
Okay.
Mhm.
I had one more question just because I saw as we went through the slides. Why was there a 2-year period between the two surveys, just out of curiosity?
We between the two investigations.
Yeah, investigation, sorry.
Yeah, we had a long, I can kind of give you the background on that. We first started looking at the site in like 2018 or 2019 or 2020, prior to acquisition. And the site was E-designated with the New York City Office of Environmental Remediation. It's a zoning designation. And when we did our initial phase 2, we shared our results with OER, who then in turn shared them with DEC. And then we entered the brownfield cleanup program. That's kind of how we got to where we are now. That process can take a long time. We finally purchased the site in August of 21, and were accepted into the brownfield cleanup program in May of 22. After we got in, we had to supplement our initial investigation with an RI, which we did in 2022, and then we did a supplemental one in 2024. So, basically, we were, between acquisition and different forms of investigation, it takes a few years sometimes to get all this done. The other thing was the drilling was really difficult. The soil out there is like a hard pan material, the native soil. So we had trouble getting all the way to the water table in our initial investigations. So we had to bring out a larger type of rig called a sonic rig that could actually get us down to groundwater to take those samples. So logistical stuff, but fairly typical.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have any other questions from, do we have?
Yes, Anne and Elizabeth? Have
Anne?
they hands raised?
Yeah. Question is, prior to your purchase of the site, what indicators led you to think that these would be remediatable? I mean, how did you decide to purchase the site without testing at this time of the purchase?
We did test prior to purchase. We did a phase 1 and a phase 2. The SCA would not purchase a property without environmental due diligence. That's part of our protocol. There were subsequent investigations once we got into the remedial program, the brownfield cleanup program, but we always do initial environmental due diligence for any property that we acquire.
Thank you, Michael.
Yep.
Elizabeth?
Hi. So this is my first brownfield meeting. So if I'm asking a naive question, I'm sorry. But I guess the first question I had is, while you're remediating it, if you do the remediation, is that going to be blowing all of these toxins into the air and just sort of digging it up? I mean, would it, and I know this is a dumb question, but like, would it maybe be better to just let it stay where it is? So that's the first one.
I can respond to that. So as part of kind of a best management practice during excavation of contaminated soil, we perform community air monitoring. So we do particulate monitoring and volatile organic monitoring, and we do it at the site perimeter, upwind and downwind. And that data all gets logged and then reported to the DEC on a daily basis during the work. So that's how we ensure, that it's safe for the community. But in general, this is relatively like standard as part of construction.
So if it does exceed the standard, do you stop or you just kind of log it and keep going?
Yep, there's action levels.
Okay.
There's alarms on the equipment. So
Okay.
you would there's a full-time environmental monitor in the field, monitoring the equipment and the work activities, and their only job is just make sure that we're not exceeding the action levels.
Okay. And then I guess the second question I had is, if you did, let's say the remediation went perfectly and beautifully and exactly what you wanted, would 100%, like would everything be gone, or is there still going to be some residual VOCs there?
There are different tracks that you can pursue in the brownfield cleanup program. So what you're describing would be a track where you have unrestricted use of the property. That is likely not what we are pursuing here. Some of those impacts that Andre went through, that about 20 feet below grade, will remain in place. And so as part of the long-term remedy, which will be in the remedial action work plan subsequent to this interim remedial measure, we'll map out what protections are in place to achieve protection of, human health.
Okay. Thank you. So I'm going to make a comment, which I'm sure is not, I don't think I was on the board in 2018 when this was decided to be a school site, and I'm just speaking as a private citizen, but TEC, PCE are neurotoxins. Like they cause autism, they cause ADHD, they cause God knows what else. I'm not a scientist, but to put a playground for preschoolers on top of this seems problematic to me. And that's my only comment. And I would yield after that. But we already have some autoimmune issues in Bay Ridge, specifically because of the historic manufacturing base that probably exists here, and maybe partially because of Owl's-Head. I don't think anyone quite knows why, but I just wonder how this came to be. So
No,
thank you.
that's an excellent. I'll take this one, Jenna.
I was going to ask Tony if he wanted to weigh in.
Oh, yeah, let me just say one thing briefly. It's all great question. We, find these types of contaminants on other sites in industrial neighborhoods like this. It's fairly common, and there would not be any exposure pathway. The main concern when you're dealing with these things like PC and TC are soil vapor. And the way that we mitigate against soil vapor intrusion is through building engineering controls, which will be part of the final remedy for the remedial action work plan that Jenna was speaking to. So there'll be things like a gas vapor barrier that goes underneath the foundation of the school and a subslab depressurization system as well. So there are tried and true engineering controls that we put on almost every single one of the new schools we build because frankly, our schools are meant to last 100 years. And so we need to have engineering controls that will protect it now for what conditions exist currently and what conditions may exist in the future. So we're very well aware of that. And basically, we prevent any sort of those concerns by preventing any sort of exposure pathway. There'll be no way for someone to come into contact with those PCE, TCE type solvents. And after the IRM, we'll have clean backfill over the Lot 39 playground area, which will be deep enough that no one would ever come into contact with anything below it again. We did not find evidence of PCE and TCE in our soil and groundwater. So it's not clear if it's, even from our site. It might be a neighborhood phenomenon. We found a little bit of 1,2-DCE, which is a different type of solvent in the sediment of our floor drain that we cleaned out. But that's now gone and removed from the site. And as Andre said, those concentrations went down by orders of magnitude once we cleaned out the floor drains. So all that being said, we have controls to prevent any sort of vapor intrusion. And it's not clear that even our site is the source, but we certainly will protect our occupants from any of those types of concerns.
May I ask just one follow-up on that? Is what happens if it floods? Because obviously that's been a recurring issue.
It's 75 feet to groundwater, so flooding from groundwater is unlikely in this scenario.
Thank you.
Yep.
Tracy, Dan has a question in the conference room.
Yeah. Hey Dan, I just a quick question. I did all notice that the majority of the borings are obviously on the former, automotive site. There's not much on the paved lot or the former bank. I'm just assuming that's because, like, in a final remediation plan, that's going to be where the school is. We're going to be excavating that anyway. And we'll have like an easier way of remediating anything that's under there. Just wanted to know because the majority of the borings are on that other site.
Yeah,
Lot 39.
we found lot 39 is where we found those buried features, the tank,
Yeah.
the oil water separator, the drainage system. So our borings are focused on that lot because that's where we actually found something. The bank lot 28, we really didn't find anything to write home about. So we got broad spatial distribution to properly characterize that site, but we didn't find anything that we needed to hone in on in order to investigate further, if that makes sense.
Yeah, just wanted to make it clear for everyone.
I had one more just follow-up question. When the IRM is completed and construction begins, like on the school, is there any mechanism for a long-term testing? So periodically just making sure that the remediation was successful and there's nothing ongoing?
Yeah, so when the IRM gets completed, they don't start constructing. They still need to submit to us a remedial action work plan, which will lay out all the engineering controls. And once that gets approved, then they'll proceed with implementing the remedial action work plan. And when they complete that work, then they'll submit what's called a final engineering report, which will document all the remediation they did and document the endpoint samples they collected to confirm the remediation. And they'll also submit to us a site management plan, which will lay out all the testing that they're going to do in the future to make sure the site remains protective and safe and that all the engineering controls are maintained. So there's still quite a long process even after this IRM is implemented.
Understood. Thank you.
Sure.
Dan, yeah, I'm sorry, Tracy. Dan has a follow-up.
No,
Oh, no, you good?
good.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I thought your hand went up. Okay.
Does anyone else have any questions? No more questions? Oh. All right. Well, we thank you all for being here tonight. Appreciate it. And so when the work plan goes into effect, does that help or does that get presented to the board as well or no? Like the final work plan? Because you said
Oh,
that
yeah,
it's also
yeah,
a public,
definitely.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so well, we'll issue another fact sheet
Okay.
and we'll describe what's going to be in the remedial action work plan for the final remedy. And if you want us to come and talk to you again, we'd be happy to.
Great. Thank you so much.
Sure.
All right, Josephine, do you have anything else?
No, that completes on the agenda. There are comments that will be accepted through April 25th. The general board meeting is on April 22nd. So if there's any feedback that we want to provide, we would be able to do so in time for the public comment deadline on the 25th.
Great.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. All right, so have a good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.